She's dedicated to empowering women in tech with Women Who Code. Welcome, Alicia.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad, I'm expecting everybody to go on the other side. Michelle is there and, abandoned me, but I'm so glad everybody's here. I'm Alicia Carr, as you know. I became a mobile developer at the age of 51. And I want to tell everybody how I got to that point in my life. Follow me on Twitter. Fine Black Woman, yes, that's me. And also my website, Coffee Women in Tech. I do blog. I have a blog called Women Tech Talk. So I talk to women like me, average women who have been through challenges and became successful in the tech community. And so this is my girls at Women of Code. Women of Code is one of the organizations that is an international organization around the world that helps and talks about technology, help women who are already in technology that got out and became mothers and trying to get back into it. So you can go ahead and connect up to Women of Code if you want to get involved. My elevator pitch. I am the first Black woman at the age of 51 that created a domestic violence act for the state of Georgia. So whenever I talk to folks, they basically tell them that in my elevator pitch. So everybody don't look at me and like, well, how the hell did she get to that point? How, 51 and you're the first Black woman? Of course. No other Black woman would do a domestic violence act, so that makes me the first of everything. In 2011, I was standing online at the Apple store, and me and my husband, excited. You know the routine being at the Apple store. Everybody has to be there, yeah, cheering. And so there was a 16-year-old boy in front of me, and I was like, he was buying an $800 iPad. There was no parents with him, and I was like, how did you get $800 to buy an iPad? Because I'm still old school, and then no grown person is going to hand somebody $800. Especially a 16-year-old. So I asked him, did you wash cars, clean windows, mow lawns? And he's like, no, I created a mobile app. And I was like, okay, so you're a genius. You went to Harvard, Stanford. He's like, no, I learned it off YouTube. And I turned to my husband and said, that's what I want to do. I was like, so in 2012, my husband said, okay, find out about these schools. Find out about being an iOS developer. So I lollygagged, dragged my feet, and he said, did you find the school? So I kept looking for the schools and found some mentors on a meetup group called Atlanta iOS Developers Group. And I started learning iOS, which is Objective-C. It took me a year and a half. I didn't feel, as a woman, confident enough to pick up. I felt that I didn't know nothing about Objective-C because every time I was building the app, something was not there. See, I told you. Something was not there. And so there was a boot camp that came on iOS Developers Group, Atlanta, and it was a 3-month boot camp. Then the boot camp was only $125. And so I went ahead and I jumped on. I asked my husband, can I get some money to get on this boot camp? And he said, sure. So I started doing the boot camp. As I was doing the boot camp, I realized I knew what I was doing. This was like, oh my God, I understand everything. Even though, back over the times, I really didn't understand. So in December, I finished the boot camp and created my first app, which was called the Purple Pocketbook. And the Purple Pocketbook is all about helping women strategically get out of abusive relationships. So it was a resource app. It had everything a woman needs to successfully get out. So a lot of people don't understand, as a victim of domestic violence, you just can't jump out of a relationship. And I give people the scenario as when you walk into a bank and there's robbers coming in, are you going to run out of that bank? No, you're not, because he's going to shoot you. You're going to try to negotiate your way out of that situation. And that's the same thing when it comes to victims of domestic violence. So I created Purple Pocketbook. My son helped me put it on an Android version, and I had it on the iPhone version. And so January 2014, it was built. It took me 3 months. Apple gave me complications when it came down to submitting the app. So it took me a couple of months to figure out how to submit the app. And that's how Women of Code came involved. You know, I met a woman. Her name was Stephanie Brown, and she had no coding experience. And with Women of Code, we got together at a coffee shop, went through Apple's forum, and she helped me figure out what the problem was. So I was able to submit the app to Apple May 2nd. So right now, Pivo, it's now called Pivo. It's part. We had to rename it to Purple Evolution. It's still on the on Android version on Purple Pocketbook because I have yet to get somebody to switch it over to me. And so now Pivo is there. Women of Code helped me. I'm excited about the fact that I got this app in the iTunes store. And when I finally did decide to make an issue of it is when Ray Rice, I think it was Ray Rice, I think it was. He was the one that had the issue with the domestic violence in the elevator. My children, my husband, my girlfriends was like, okay, Alicia, why is this app sitting in the iTunes store and you're not doing nothing with it? So I decided to reach out to shelters and to people who were all involved with domestic violence. And so Women of Code has been nothing but a success story for me. So I created a group at Women of Code called WIOS. It's Women iOS Developers Group. And what I do is try to teach women code with Women of Code, iOS, well, Swift, and which right now Swift is kind of hard for working women. You know, we have to find the time to really get involved in building apps with iOS. Right now, with Pivo right now, I'm working on it to become a national app. Right now I have Wisconsin, Ohio, and I think, I can't remember which, I think it's Wisconsin, Ohio, and I can't remember the other state, but they're all list of shelters right now inside the app, as well as Georgia, which Georgia has everything full in there. So as you can see, this is my Girls from Women of Code, and our app there, and as I told you before, we created that. I created that app in that group that I'm working under with Women of Code. While I'm doing this course for Women of Code, they contacted me, asked me, do I want to go to Women of Code, WWDC 15? And I was like, well, hell yeah, you know. Who wouldn't? Nobody who in Iowa would not want to go. And I definitely wanted to go. And so they said they only have 4 slots and said, well, Alicia, you know, we're going to submit your name and see if you'll get a chance to go. I said, okay, whatever. You know, I'm just happy to be considered. And just so happened, a couple of months later, I was then invited. So with that, I was so excited. Oh, my God. I was like, oh, my God. Me and my husband was dancing. We were just dancing in the living room, like, we're going to WWDC, we're going to WWDC. And so I was so grateful and so thankful and so happy. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? What I'm going to do? Apple's paying for everything. I don't have to pay for nothing. And so I said, okay, so how do I thank Apple? So what I did was I decided to get a T-shirt. And one of my mentors told me, my mentors, Darryl, told me, he said, Alicia, you can't go to Apple trying to be cute. That's not going to work. Apple don't care about how cute you are. So he told me to get a T-shirt. And he said, on the T-shirt, say, ask about the Purple Pocketbook. And that's what I did. But what I did on the back was something different. I said, thanks, Women Who Code, WWC, for getting me a scholarship at the WWDC 2015. I sent it to everybody that was a part of me getting the scholarship, from everybody from Apple to everybody from Women of Code to, I mean, anybody that I know had touched their hands on it. And by doing that, when I got here to the scholarship event, they looked for me and they said, okay, we want to highlight you on the keynote, which, you know, every year, you know, they go down the line and take pictures of people and tell them, you know, from the keynote, showing them live pictures of what happened. And so this is what happened on the Apple Live WWDC 15. I was highlighted on the main screen at the Apple event, and they said Alicia C., which I was the only person they ever had a name on there, learned the code at the age of 51 to make an app to help victims of domestic violence. So I was already excited, and I was just floored that I even got acknowledged for that. And so this was a great story for me. And I was like, everybody's like, you got to be on Apple's screen. I'm like, that was the screen. That was it. And I was happy with that. And so after Apple exposed me to the world, Women of Code offered me a position as the director of Women of Code, which I then do a lot of things for them. We set up events and do amazing things for women in Atlanta. And then I get an email in April while we were planning a hackathon for, Women of Code was planning an all-women hackathon to expose women to hackathons because women are not exposed to that like they should be. And so I get an email from a documentary company, and it's like, well, you know, we had got a list of people, and you were on the list, so we wanted to contact you. So they contact me. I said, okay, and I talked to them. They want to do a phone interview, did the phone interview. Then they want to do a Skype interview. Okay, we did a Skype interview. Then they told me a day later, we're coming down to Atlanta to meet with you. I'm like, okay, we need every pictures of everybody, family, everything, whatever you got. And I'm like, okay, so I'm up probably till 2 o'clock in the morning sending her all this information. And so on Tuesday she lands, and she meets my husband, my daughters, my mentors, my girlfriends, the director of Women of Code. And then it's like, okay, you know, well, we'll contact you later. So in the meantime, life is going on. I'm heading over, getting ready to head over. I'm at Google I/O, waiting for their keynote to speak, and I'm getting a call from the assistant of the documentary company saying, we're coming to Atlanta to interview you. And I was like, oh, hold up a second. You know, and then she started just rambling on about, we need all of this stuff. I said, hold up a second. In Atlanta, things shut down a week before Memorial Day. So ain't nobody is in Atlanta. All the kids are gone. So it was like, okay, they wanted me to get people to, it was like doing a recording of Housewives of Atlanta. You know, everything is staged. You know, they want the people there, they want women there, they want family there, and they must have recorded 3 days of stuff. And so I was like, and one of the requirements is that my app, the Pivo app, had to be current. It hadn't been updated to 2015. So they had my Prince and Shining Armor from Apple fly directly down to Atlanta, Georgia to help me fix my app. And it was not going to, and I mean, they helped me fix my app. It was submitted that day. It was approved on Memorial Day. Okay, so Apple was not joking. They really, really made it where they were going to make sure I was going to be there. You know, this was going to happen. And so everything was over. Everybody left. I was happy. Me and my husband was happy. House was back to normal. Nobody was there. We was lonely again. And so it was so nice. And so a week later, Apple contacted me and said, we want you to see this video. I said, I don't need to see this video. I signed my life to you, you know. I signed all these release paperwork. No, it came from higher up. They want you to see this video. So they emailed me a password. Then they emailed me the video. So I entered in the password. They get the video, told me to look at it. And I said, can my husband see it with me? And they said, no. But my husband's still seen it with me. So I wasn't going to let that happen. So after my husband seen the actual video, and we seen it, we both laughed and cried. And so Apple required me to call them back and tell them that I approved the video. So on Monday morning, I was not here when the event happened. I was at home because I couldn't tell nobody about the video, not even anybody from Apple. And so this is what happened when I watched it at the end of the
Hello world. So this is the first computer that I coded on.
In the beginning, my biggest challenge was not having access to a computer.
The first line of code I wrote was bouncing ball. It would bounce around the screen, hit the edges, and then come back again.
I think the first one was like a to-do list. It was a to-do list.
I remember the first time I did it when it worked, and it was like magical.
I can do anything with code. Anything I can think about, I can do it. In Beirut, we experience power outages every day. So let me see if I can just do a simple algorithm that can provide the electricity cut-off time.
It It shouldn't cost life to give life. What if we compress all these health guidelines into small movies?
I am one person that saw a problem and created a solution to stop or assist a woman in domestic violence.
What we wanted, what we needed, didn't exist. So at some point you just say, okay, well, let's do it ourselves.
Let's make an app.
Well, when I first start an app, I have to have a plan.
We start with that little glimmer, that seed of a new, fresh idea.
There's this fear of code, like it's so hard or it's inaccessible, but actually it's not.
Someone who doesn't even know code at all, if they really studied some simple Swift code, they would probably be able to understand it.
Anything's possible, and it all comes from that first step.
Launching the app was a big moment, actually.
I told everyone about it. I'm like, download my app, it's on the App Store.
I was dancing. I called all my girlfriends that I cried to.
It's such a crazy feeling because it's so many emotions, so many wishes, so many dreams.
I always tell my students, do you have Beirut electricity? My son made it. He built it. And the girls, is he single?
By the end of 2016, 1 million women will have a safe birth due to the Safe Delivery app.
If people come together in public spaces, it creates a kind of happiness and it creates a kind of like healing effect for the soul.
Don't touch my code!
Dear Kira, young people like you are tomorrow's leaders. You inspire me and give me tremendous hope for the future. Michelle and I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Barack Obama.
These tools are something that we desperately need when trying to change the world.
I think the more people who can learn to code, learn to build apps, the more problems can be solved.
I feel like I'm creating stuff that can actually change the way people live, which is super awesome.
I want to be this amazing coder, this off-the-chain senior developer where everybody comes to me and is like, can you fix this? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I go in there, I'll just type up the code and blah, 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 damn. And like, wow, you can do this, yay! So now that everybody's seen me and known about my laugh, that was the problem with the video, my laugh. And so, because I'm known just because of that ending. And so now I want everybody to understand the real part of being a woman developer, an iOS developer. As you can see, those are tech girls, and I'm a tech girl. And in tech, things have changed from stereotypical hoodie wearing, nerd glasses wearing, gadgets obsessed over the latest gadget. This is not only men. Today, there are women, and I'm that woman. I have been in technology since I was 25. My first hand on a computer was an IBM punch card machine, and I knew then that I wanted to be in computers. And so it took me a little while to get there, but I am a self-taught developer. I taught myself HTML, created websites, and then C++, Oracle. I mean, my array of coding is, I can't even tell you what I've learned on my own. I am a developer. And I was told that by the CEO of Women of Code, I am an engineer. And as being at my age, I don't feel that I am, because the title of engineer when in my time requires a college degree. And now we're looking at it as it's not that kind of requirement anymore. If you can build a mobile app, you are an engineer. If you can build a website, you are an engineer. So it's no degree required to that title no more. I knew that when Apple acknowledged me twice, 2015 and 2016, as a developer that created an app, I knew that I was just like, oh my God. So people, now I can get a job. You know, somebody will hire me because I created this mobile app. And the reality was that was not going to happen. So it came to the fact that I realized that even though app we got acknowledged, the tech community still hasn't opened up or understood the talents of what women have to offer. I wanted to bring some facts to my presentation, which is women tend to spend 39 more minutes on social media. Instagram apps, we shop more on these apps. Facebook. We're huge on Facebook. We do our own blogs. We do YouTube. More women are more active on mobile devices than men are. We check our phone more. And I know lie, we do check our phone more. I mean, my Slack is on my watch, I got Slack on my phone, and Slack on my computer, so I'm always interactive with my technology. So what's the problem? Why are more women not getting into these companies and getting the opportunity? We know women are hiring lower numbers than men in tech. They are also don't stay in tech fields too long, and that's because they feel uncomfortable. They feel that they're not being respected. They feel they're not having their words heard. We're very talented. I can give you one example where I was at a job fair, and this company created a wedding time capsule, and they basically said the wedding time capsule is for when you have these pictures, you put it in a time capsule, and you lock it up and you open it for 10 years. That was number one mistake. So I asked them, I said, so do you have any women in your company, in your group? And they said no. It was men creating a wedding time capsule app. And that was the biggest mistake. Men don't know nothing about weddings. Women are the ones that spend most money on weddings, and they wasn't really thinking about focusing to the women when you have all men in that group of developers. So this is where the opportunity for women can come in. Putting one woman in a group of men developers is not going to hurt the company. We're more creative and more, how would you say, talented when it comes to creating apps or looking into doing things in the community that we create and then build them out of a website or even a mobile app and that kind of thing. There was two articles. One just came out that said that women are better in coding than men. And please men, don't take it personal. But this is where they did not put no names or genders on the code. And that's how they figure out which one was better. And then one was for GitHub and one came out just a couple of days ago on the same subject. Only 5% of women of color are working in computer programming and software development. Just 5% of us. And I can tell you, I can count a lot of them on my hand. I know a couple of them that are iOS developers. One just got a junior developer position. One has been doing it for a little while. There are situations where women of color had experience in the tech community where one woman was told that she needs to change her name because of the color of her skin. And that's not by a man, that was by a woman. So we have some things that we have to deal with. Ageism is a huge, huge problem in technology. I met my friend Graham. He's 17 years old. And Graham is me and him follow each other on Facebook because he drives fast cars. And I'm a freak with fast cars. I love fast cars. And Graham is like, I'm trying to get a job, Alicia. I'm 17 years old, but I want to work, in the technology field. And I'm interviewing with people. They won't hire me because of my age. And I know they will hire me because another friend of his just got hired at 17 at another job. So age is a huge problem in the tech community. We have so many talented people, and we should not be using that as a discrimination tool. As you can see, these are more statistics that I mentioned. 84% respondents have been told that they were too aggressive. And this is amongst women, and it's still going on. Some women, they give their advice, and people are not listening, and we have I know of a situation where a male colleague told his other colleagues, listen to what she has to say. You're ignoring her. And so these are things that we need to change. So you know that you have women in your group, and they're speaking up. You need to speak up for them. You don't want somebody to talk to your mother the same way they would talk to her, and that's just respect. Even if it was your sister or your wife, because I know if it was your wife, you'll probably knock the person out. And of course, 1/3 said that they have fear for their personal life and safety as in the tech community. While the tech community is talking about welcoming young people into the tech world, older women, women of color are being overlooked. The tech world need to experience and can't afford to alienate any woman where there are opportunities. So I know of companies who are bringing in women. I know of companies that are bringing in women with no experience, training them and hiring them as software engineers. And it's not that they said that's how they are trying to change the diversity and inclusion. And there's a lot of companies that can do the same. Change. Women in tech don't need to change. Men need to change their view of women in tech. The views are traditionally thinking of men needs to change, and surprisingly, some women as well. So do we want more women in tech? Yes, we do. And the reason why research has shown that mixing the group up, diversifying it, does make a change in companies and in the group of technology, group of developers. We need to do more vouching for each other, confronting the bias. If you know of somebody that you think could, a woman, a minority, that you think can come into your place of company to give them an opportunity for an interview. See if there's a chance for them to change the way things are being done. And then watch out for gender bias language. I mean, we hear it all the time, and we just ignore it. And so that's a huge problem that we need to bring in Jackson. So for me right now, this is the last of my talk. And so SWIFT, Women Nerds Unite. So follow me and my ventures on Tech Girl on Twitter. And Tech Girl is on Twitter, so you can follow her as well. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. The one all the way in the back in the blue.
So thanks, awesome. I have a daughter who's 8 years old, and it's really cool to see women in tech. So thank you first off. I guess, do you have any statistics, or do you know anything off the top of your head of the ages of the women who code? Like, how many people in your program are close to your age or older? Or?
Well, in my chapter in Atlanta, we have 2,500 members. We're in the top 10 in our organization for the biggest chapter in the world for Women in Code. Our mixture of ages vary from 18 to, I would say about 60. Yeah, because some of them are in technology in that age, but very few of them in the older ages, yes.
Okay, and then a follow-up, like for younger children, my daughter, if I was interested in getting her involved in something like this, do you know of any avenues or how?
What city you live in?
So we're in North Carolina, in Charlotte.
Oh, okay, so you're in Charlotte?
Yes.
Okay, so look for Girls Who Code, 100 Girls Who Code. Charlotte, we're not in Charlotte, we're in Raleigh, Durham, and Greenville, South Carolina. And so we've been trying to get a chapter in Charlotte, but with the girls, like I say, it's 100 Girls Who Code, Girls Who Code, and then look at the colleges. A lot of the colleges do a lot of girls coding camps. Start knocking at the door at the colleges, and even like the like Girls and Boys Club.
Okay.
Yeah. So start with them, and they can direct you, because a lot of the colleges in Atlanta, they do a lot of things with the kids there.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. I got one up in front, and I got one back there. I got one back there. Y'all got like 10 minutes.
Hi, thank you very much.
Thank
Seeing
you
on Twit a while back. I'm in Tucson, and one of the issues we have is I have my son started teaching himself back when he was 8 years old, and it's his first time to come to a conference here, so it's been very exciting for him. But one of the issues is that in the schools, one, the curriculum material is out of date. Two, trying to get curriculum material or get them to understand that you don't need to wait till high school or junior high, to do this. And finding sponsorship for after-school programs has been difficult. And then finally, trying to promote the idea of coding as a second language, that many high schools, have a language requirement, traditional languages, French, German,
right.
Spanish, but this is a legitimate language, and I'm wondering if you all are doing any kind of things like that to promote it as a language, to meet the language requirements in high school and college.
No, actually, we're not doing that. A lot of kids that are in college right now, a lot of them have got scholarships here, and they ask me how do they continue learning to code. And I recommended boot camp. I mean, another thing is reaching out to, okay, so it's not just Women of Code, there's Girls Develop It. And Girls Develop It have classes. And they're like $99 a class, depending on where you go to, and they'll do a 6-course class. Even if you don't want to do code with them, they have a network of people that you can contact and communicate with to get it, to where you can get a lot of this information. As far as getting it in the schools, I can't, as a nonprofit organization of Women of Code, we really have nothing to do with trying to push that information into the schools. That's something that the educational system have to work on, because the thing is with coding right now is nothing. I'm finding out a lot of colleges are not teaching it. And when women or people are coming out with a CS degree, and they want to go into coding, they're finding out that they don't have enough skill sets to even further on go into coding unless they do an internship at one of the tech companies. So I would tell you to reach out to someone like I said, if you're in Tucson, Arizona, contact the Women of Code location. They can basically tell you what's really going on in the community. The Girls Develop It the same way. I'm telling you, we're very active in the community. We know what schools are doing what, who is doing what in the community, and where you need to go to get the necessary resources to help your children. You're welcome. Anybody else? We got this one in there.
Hi.
One up here.
Oh, sorry. I'm also from Tucson, Arizona. My name is Roxana Marquez, and my question was also along the lines of starting a movement for coding for young girls and even boys, because we have a university there. So we're definitely going to try to get together to get with Girls Who Code, but also include young boys, because, it's really important that they start in the middle school age, late elementary. So thanks for all the advice. That's what I really wanted to say, and you're very inspiring. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And this guy right here, please come to him. He raised his hand up first.
Thank you for coming and for sharing your story.
Thank you.
With respect to being self-taught, what resources did you find that were most helpful for you and your friends and for learning to code? Did iTunes U even show up on the radar? Because you mentioned YouTube with someone.
Okay, so when I first started in 2012, the resources that they had was nothing compared to what they have right now. I used Big Nerve Ranch book. First of all, I reached out to Big Nerve Ranch because at the time they were in Atlanta, Georgia, and they had a whole school on iOS, Objective-C. It was a 2-week crash course. And I was trying to negotiate with them for me not to pay the hotel, that I'm living in Atlanta, so I can commute back and forth to what the classes were, and they said no, I would have to actually pay the full amount. And I think at that time it was like between $6,000 and $8,000 to do that, and I was not going to do it. So I took the next step and found a mentor, and he gave me the Big Nerve Ranch books. I'm telling you, dumb things kicked my ass. They were not that easy. So I'm building the app, and then I'm missing a line somewhere, So, and that just drove me crazy for a year and a half. So what I did is got every book, every kind of book, YouTube, anything I could think of that can help me just learn a little bit more about Objective-C. I learned more better from video. When I took that boot camp for 3 months, it was, I mean, I went through it smoothly. And I mean, at the end, I was building an app. So everybody learns differently. So they have, I think they had the Harvard one. They had a Harvard video, well, not video, course on iUniversity on Apple. And I tried that, and I'm not a college person. I couldn't figure that out for nothing in the world because it was all presentations and it didn't seep into my head. So to me, it was more so the video tutorials. Like Udemy is awesome. I mean, when I talk about refresher course in Swift, I always go back there, pick up a couple of refresher courses on Swift, and I'm already caught up. So because I had to learn Objective-C, which was not easy, and everybody knows if you're an iOS developer, Objective-C is no fun. Learning Swift, it was so much better. It was smoother, it was easier. I already have familiarity of everything, so everything, worked perfectly. So I would tell you, go ahead and join Udemy and call it a day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, everybody. Okay, hey. Thank you, everybody. I see a couple of my friends in the room.